The United States and Germany, foreign policy regarding the AIDS crisis in Africa. Since acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, also known as AIDS, was first identified in 1981 by the United States Center for Disease Control and Prevention, it has been one of the leading health concerns in the world. Of all the regions of the world, AIDS burdens Africa the most, accounting for the majority of deaths. The United States and Germany are two of the leaders in providing funding for African countries. We will look to compare their policies on internal and external levels. Externally, I observed how world opinion of the two countries affect their foreign policy on AIDS in Africa. The United States has struggled to gain popularity in the world because of the stigma left behind from its unilateral actions under former President George W. Bush. Likewise, Germany has also had its reputation tainted during World War II and the human rights violations committed under Hitler. Both countries want the world to see them as good guys and look to aid Africa as an act of goodwill. World opinion has externally affected both countries. Furthermore, the disease itself is an external factor that affects these countries' foreign policies. Both countries realize that without international intervention, AIDS in Africa would only continue to spread due to lack of education and items available for safe sex. Since AIDS cannot be cured with a simple vaccination, extermination by prevention is the only option the world has at this point. Decreasing AIDS cases in Africa is the only way to start eliminating the disease as a world threat, pushing foreign policy in Germany and the United States towards relief project. How the world views the United States and Germany and the threat that AIDS poses to humanity as a whole are two of the primary external factors affecting foreign policy on AIDS relief and prevention. As a whole, analysis of these two topics shows that both countries are working to erase stigmas that have affected their countries from past actions by being charitable to Africa. Both countries also realize what is at stake for the world if the AIDS virus is allowed to use Africa as a breeding ground and potentially eliminate African culture as a whole. It can be concluded that Germany and the United States' foreign policy regarding AIDS relief in Africa share the same external factor. We will now move on to internal factors. My research found an interesting flow of variables that were very similar for both countries. Starting at the root of this flow, we find big business in the United States and Germany. Both countries have advanced economies with multi-billion-dollar corporations. The Red Effort is a business model started by Bono and Bobby Shriver. Businesses must pay the Red Effort money to put red on their products. In turn, the Red Effort gives the money made from selling their product license to the Global Fund and One Organization. The Red Effort is extremely effective in marrying corporations in both countries to the AIDS struggle. The One Organization is a campaign started to, quote, work closely with policy experts, African leaders, and anti-poverty activists to mobilize public opinion in support of tested and proven method for tackling poverty and AIDS. Using One as an interest group to get the word out to the media about the crisis in Africa leads us to our next stop, the media. Media in both the United States and Germany are a key part of what drives public opinion in both countries, be it TV or newspaper. Interest groups use money produced by fundraisers, like the Red Effort, to purchase advertising time on TV or to put out an ad. Interest groups also will have their members speak at rallies and on evening news shows to raise awareness. In a study done in 2001, the way advertising affected Germans and Americans were compared, and the results were, quote, very similar, in the sense that both countries' citizens were strongly affected by television ads and what they saw in the media. With interest groups being driven by fundraising, the media has been able to alter the next stop, public opinion. Public opinion is the final step from morphing foreign policy from the inside. Public opinion in both countries is crucial for lawmakers if they hope to be re-elected. With public opinion firmly in support of assisting Africa with the AIDS crisis in both countries, lawmakers can happily hop on any bill that would give aid to Africa and bask in the praise of their constituents. Where we finally come to the end of the line, where foreign policy is being affected by internal factors. I found it interesting that each aspect built on the last and created policy change from a root level to making it official foreign policy. To recap quickly, in both countries, we started with big business that supports interest groups. Those interest groups got involved with the media and were able to affect public opinion. Once public opinion was that of firm support for Africa by the people of each country, lawmakers would have to obey their voters and vote to help aid Africa. Internally, Germany and the United States share similarities, starting with big business and ending in a foreign policy change. In conclusion, since all the internal and external variables were very similar for both countries, it is not a surprise that both of these countries have similar foreign policy towards the AIDS crisis in Africa, and have been two of the biggest supporters of Africa to date.